Boo, everybody, and welcome back to the HabWrap. I am your host, Harry Rice. You are listening to the friendliest and funniest source for anything and everything Montreal Canadiens. Tonight is the second half of the back-to-back that was taking place during the California road trip for the Montreal Canadiens. Thankfully, that is done now. We are off until Tuesday, so the boys do get some rest. I would argue well-deserved rest, however, the game, the way it was played, maybe only certain guys deserve rest. Regardless, we don't play until Tuesday, which is still good because Jesus, Mike Matheson needs defensive training. All right, the Canadiens played the LA Kings tonight. A very fun game in the third period, an incredibly frustrating first and second periods, which we are, of course, going to talk about. However, before we do any of that, we do have to get to the lines, which we're going to get right into. There's no rant about Samuel Montembeault or, in tonight's case, Jakub Dobes. There's no rant about that tonight because, obviously, there's no need to, one way or the other. Let's get into it. So the Canadiens' opening lines were Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Newhook, Kapanen, Demidov, Bolduc, Evans, Doc, Anderson, Dano, Gallagher, Matheson, Gouli, Hudson Dobson, and Jack Carey. So literally no changes from last night. The only change is the only one that probably did need to happen because you can't have either goalie playing both halves of back-to-back, because that would never go good for either goalie. Jakub Dobes, like I said, gets the start for the Canadiens, and Montembeault obviously backs him up because he played yesterday. The opening lines for the Kings were Panarin, Kopitar, Kempe, Moore, Turcotte, Laferriere, Joseph, that is, I believe, Mathieu Joseph, Lawton, Wright. I didn't even notice Joseph, by the way, tonight. He was easily the most forgettable player on the ice, and Malott, Hellenius, and Ward. On the blue line, it was Mikey Anderson, Doughty, Edmondson, Habs legend Joel Edmondson, Clark and Dumoulin, Ceci, Leafs legend Cody Ceci. Darcy Kemper gets the start in net for the Los Angeles Kings. I really wish. And Anton Forsberg backs him up as he has been doing. Nothing to note before the game, surprisingly. Trade deadline's passed, so obviously we're not going to see any trades now unless for some reason we wanted to make a move and not have a guy active in the lineup. Aside from that, as far as I can tell, we haven't had any updates on Laine, when he's going to be back, when he will hopefully replace Brendan Gallagher in the lineup, but I imagine it'll probably be another week or so, but we shall see. So let's get right into it. In the first period, Kings early, there's a shot off the glass and out. There's some back and forth rushes, but no shots. This was a very, it was a game that took a little bit to get going. There were no shots for the first, I think, 4 minutes. It took a little while to get going. Andy has, and only one team would get going. Spoiler alert. Andy does have a backhand. The pad saved by Kemper. Kings end up cycling, but a rush gets stopped. There's a Turcotte shot. Dobes doesn't see it, but he does make the pad save. The second line push, there's a look for Demidov. He tries to center for Newhook, but just isn't able to find him. Hudson comes up in the play. He tries to generate something, but while he doesn't, the Habs do get a power play. Laferriere gets taken... Habs go to the penalty kill, I should say. I put that they go to the power play. I'm so used to that being the case. Laferriere gets taken down by both Gouli and Matheson. Gouli is the one that gets called, as he gets called for a high stick. Matheson also tripped him up, so very lucky that we didn't get a 5-on-3 penalty kill there. However, you would think early in the game they're not going to do that, and they wouldn't. It's just Gouli going to the box. The Kings pressure. Velarde has a one-timer, but Dobes with a nice save there. The Kings get several looks. Dobes makes a good amount of saves. I believe they had 5 total shots on their power play to the LA Kings. Dano eventually does clear. Habs clear again. It might have been Dano again, too. Kings do press late, but they can't score on the power play. Habs are 1-for-1 on the penalty kill. That's always good to see. Hellenius in front. There's a save by Dobes again. He ends up holding the puck halfway through the period. Habs look to rush. There's a Hudson shot blocked. Slaf sends a rebound to the line. Nobody's there, and Dobson comes in just offside. Matheson ends up going flying after trying to hit big boy Hellenius, 6'6" Hellenius, I should mention. The Habs try to press. Anderson ends up losing a puck. And the Kings score. Matheson tries way too hard to be aggressive. He can't cause a turnover. He ends up pressuring Panarin, which ends up leaving Dobson to try and cover a 2-on-1, and he just can't. Kempe sends it across to Kopitar, who scores with 5:48 left in the first. The Kings take the lead. Kopitar with just his 7th of the year. Kopitar, who has unfortunately lost a step in what we already know is going to be his last year. It always sucks, though, seeing great star players, or I guess technically you could say former star player now, but name value players, losing that last step. And, Kopitar recognized that he was going to lose a step probably, and he announced ahead of time that this would be his last season. So I will say, Kopitar, phenomenal career. What can I say that nobody else has already? I can just reiterate the same points. He has a Hall of Fame career. Was it 2 Stanley Cups? Probably could have been 3. Definitely could have been 4, you could argue. Kopitar, just a phenomenal player. I think he's, 4th or 5th in points by active players. He's definitely going to be missed by the LA Kings. They said it really well on the broadcast. His jersey is going to be up in the rafters. There's going to be a statue of him outside of the Staples Center. It's not Crypto.com. I'm sorry. It's the Staples Center still. Kopitar, just a legendary career. Obviously, it sucks that he's not producing as well as he has in previous seasons. But again, Kings fans, hockey fans, I think recognize the dude's, 38? He's going to lose that step eventually. You're seeing it with Ovechkin right now. The only guy you're not seeing it with, it feels like, is Sidney Crosby. The dude is just... he's still playing like he's 30, which is insane. So Kopitar, I'm fine with him scoring against the Canadiens. I've always liked Kopitar too. He scores from Kempe and Panarin, Panarin, he's been pretty okay since coming to the Kings. Funny thing, actually, is he changed his jersey number. He came in and took 72, but at the deadline, Corey Perry got traded to Tampa, so Panarin was able to switch to his number 10. So I think he hasn't been 72 since his rookie season with Chicago, or maybe when he got traded to Columbus. I think that's when he went to number 10, but he hasn't worn number 72 in a while, so that was fun to see him wear that for a while. For me, I think he looks better wearing 72 than 10, but, I get Rangers fans will probably be the first ones to say, no, he's better in 10, because they've known him as that throughout his tenure with the Rangers, for example. But that's going to be a fun trivia question to answer in a couple years. What jersey number did Artemi Panarin take when he first came to LA? Number 72. Wow, you actually got that right. Congratulations. Who needs a joke? Fuck the joke. I don't need the joke. The Habs are getting outshot 9-1 after the goal, by the way. Just a dreadful start for the Canadiens, and it's only going to get worse. Dobson has a blue line shot, or at least I thought it was a shot. They ended up taking it away, so I think it was blocked in front. Kemper ends up getting it. That's with 5 minutes left. And the Canadiens are done. It's 2-0. Hellenius scores as Jeff Malott is right on top of Dobes. And nope, turns out it's just going to be a penalty kill for the Canadiens. Jacky is called to for holding. No goal is very quickly confirmed as Malott was sort of shoved by Jacky. He's held up on the play and then given just a little bit of a shove, enough for him to kind of lose his balance and fall on Dobes. Thankfully not enough to hurt him, but it's just one of those, just makes it inconvenient for him. It's enough to get a goal called back, but not enough to, worry about a goaltender's health. So probably the best case scenario on a goalie interference call. So thankfully the Canadiens just go to the penalty kill, which, despite their penalty kill being dreadful, I would rather take that over a guaranteed goal. I would just take maybe they score on the power play, especially because I believe the Kings' power play has not been that good either this year. So very mixed bag on if you're going to get a power play goal or not. But given how their first one went, there's a pretty good chance that they were going to score. Let's see if they do. There's a board battle that ends up leading to a Danault clear early. Kings pressure, Kapanen ends up losing his stick. Kings press, there's a Panarin one-timer stopped. Habs are 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. That's really the only thing they got. Nice. And then they're right back to the penalty kill. Suzuki's called for a trip with 1:48 left. That just sucks. That's a bad penalty to take. And Suzuki would know that. spoiler for later on, well, foreshadowing, if you will. The Habs clear early. Panarin has another one-timer, but that's held by Dobes. Matheson clears. Kings have 12 seconds of power play time to start the second, so in other words, unless they get a rush or a breakaway right off the face-off, the Habs have killed this off. The shots, sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The Kings lead 1-0 after the first period. The shots are 16-1. Like, getting outshot 9-1, that's pretty, that's not pretty. That's bad. The power plays are really what make that very lopsided. It's still unacceptable. It's still a dreadful first period for the Canadiens where they did not wake up until the penalty kills, in which point they just played okay defensively. Yeah, they have to come out in the second and play better. The Canadiens seemed to have had an issue somewhat recently of starting games on time. Not this bad, though. It's not been this bad. Yeah, they get outshot 16-1. So the second period, off the drop, the Habs dump it. They're 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. Who would have thought? A minute 45 in, the Habs dump the puck in, or they ice it, sorry. Like I said, they end up dumping it, they end up icing it. I said they are not going to win this. Kapanen ends up dumping one wide. Doc on a rush has a long shot saved. That is the first shot in 20 minutes. And then the Canadiens score. All of a sudden, Jake Evans, what is this, 1989? The center at the blue line winds up, fires it through traffic. Beauty of a clap bomb. It's a tied up game. 3:09 into the second period. Jake Evans with his 9th of the year. Jake Evans, he's been having an okay season, I think. He is now, by the way, very quietly on a 4-game point streak. Jake Evans has looked very good, and the Olympic break has helped him quite a bit. Props to Jake Evans. He scores from Doc and Bolduc. So Bolduc continuing his goalless drought. However, he's been getting points. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Think like stats later on, not like rest of the game. Spoiler. But yeah, 3:09 in. The Kings are actually going to call their timeout, though, to determine if they want to challenge for goalie interference. And yeah, they're going to challenge it. But wait, never mind. Yeah, so there's a Doc looks like he shoves Ward a little bit that causes him to run Kemper slightly. But yeah, they call the Kings, like I said, they call their timeout. DJ Smith's looking at it. Well, probably not just him, it's probably the entire coaching staff, but they're looking at it, and they just, despite calling the timeout, they decide not to challenge it. So it's a good goal. The game is tied. Evans, like I said, he scores from Doc and Bolduc. There we go. Bolduc, I saw B and immediately thought Bolduc. Byfield gets knocked down from a cross-check to the ribs from Jackeye. He was slow to get up. Thankfully, would remain in the game, but was probably just a little out of breath for a good bit for that. The Habs do try to press, but it's Anderson, so it does get broken up quite quickly. At the 5-minute mark, shots are 2-0 for the Canadiens. Habs do get some momentum going their way. Kapanen has a wrap try. He gets stopped twice by Kemper, though. Suzuki finds Anderson on a break, and yeah, it's obviously saved. Come on, who am I kidding? There's a Jackeye shot through traffic, actually. Jackeye somehow only got 9 minutes tonight. I thought Jackeye played a very good game, aside from one very obvious thing that we'll talk about in the third period. But aside from that one thing, I thought Jackeye had a pretty good game. He actually finishes the Canadiens' blue line. He finishes the night as the top blue liner. The blue liner with the top plus-minus tonight. He was a +2. Surprisingly, which to combat Mike Matheson, who was a -3 and got about 26 minutes. Now, I'm not saying you should flip them and play Jackeye 26 minutes, but find a nice even spot. Maybe take Matheson onto the second unit of the penalty kill, go Gooley Carrier first unit, and then maybe go like Matheson Jackeye second unit. Give Jackeye just a little more time, because clearly when you give him a little more time and you trust him a bit, he's fine. He's a decent third pair defenseman. I do not know what Marty's hate boner for Arbor Jackeye is, but regardless, Marty's not going to listen to me. Why would he? Why would anybody listen to the smartest guy in the room? But yeah, seriously though, the Jackeye shot through traffic. Andy has a rebound, but that gets saved. Carey ends up icing a puck off a dump. He's trying to quickly get pressure back for Montreal, but ends up icing it. The Kings press. There's a save for Dobes with the screen in front. Byfield has a shot. It's through the 5-hole, but just goes wide. Slafkovsky has speed. There's a good backhander, but that's saved and held. There's a 2-on-1 for the Kings. That ends up being a 3-on-1. The pass back to LaFerriere. That gets saved. Back the other way. Suzuki dekes out Kemper, and he scores. No. Off the post, surprisingly. Yeah. Me and my dad, we both thought that was for sure in. Just the angle, it looked like it was, quickly hit the back of the net and come out. But no, it's posted out, unfortunately. So the Canadiens don't take the lead yet. Keyword being yet. Matheson runs clear interference on a man, but there's no call. He then gets a rush shot, but that's held by Kemper. Kopitar has good speed on a lane chance. Dobes does end up stopping him, but the Kings were starting to press back. However, Canadiens score. Juraj Slafkovsky. What a play. He gets open, gets the puck, wrists it very quickly over the glove of Darcy Kemper. A beauty of a snipe. 22nd of the year with just over 4 minutes left. 4:19 to be exact. Slafkovsky makes it a 2-1 Canadiens lead from Suzuki and Carrier. So Carrier, he's getting some points now. That's always fun to see. The top line looks to make it 3-1, but a Caulfield shot is blocked. Canadiens get another rush. The Jake Evans. Evans goes to Bolduc, who has a shot wide. Kings back the other way, but Dobes holds on a quick one. And then the Kings score. Scott Laughton, sort of a wrap, just ends up dumping it on net off of a blocked shot. It goes to Laughton, like I said. Matheson just elects to not stick check. Dobes ends up just spreading his legs as the shot's coming. And it's a 2-2 tie game with 2:19 left. Laughton scores from Wright and Clark. Jared Wright, by the way, with his first career NHL point. Shout out to Jared Wright for that. Kings would press in the final minute. Kopitar spreads out Dobes, and two fantastic pad saves by Jakub Dobes, robbing Kopitar with 40 seconds left. That's always awesome to see. Dino was a block on a Panarin shot with seconds left. So the second period, much more friendly for the Canadiens. Despite how the shots look, it was a much better second period. The shots were 11-10 for the Canadiens just in that period. So the shots are 26-12 for the Kings. So again, it looks bad. Would end up being better than it looks with the combined shots. The Canadiens with a 2-2 tie game after the second period. How would the third period transpire? Well, let's find out. In the third period, Caulfield really has a one-timer blocked. Kopitar tips a shot just wide back the other way. Bolduc in the slot can't get all of a one-timer that ends up going wide. And this is where Jackeye makes his one big mistake on the night. He passes a puck out right to, I think it was Hellenius, who goes right in front for Jeff Malott, sends it just wide of the net. That would have been really bad if Jackeye's turnover led to the 3-2 deficit. However, thankfully it didn't, because Jeff Malott can't shoot, apparently. He can only fight. Speaking of 2 straight games where teams had enforcers, Jackeye was playing, and there was no fights. I genuinely would have thought at least one of these games, if Jackeye played both of them, I assume they might have gone, just like they did with the goaltenders, might have rotated Jackeye and Struble, but I would have thought one of these games would have had a fight between Jackeye and somebody, but no, there was just a little bit of physicality in the San Jose game, and like even tonight, there really wasn't anything physical, so yeah, surprisingly, just Jackeye hasn't had a fight in a while. I really want to see one soon. Thankfully, our next 2 games are Toronto and Ottawa, so Jackeye's probably going to get an opportunity to beat the shit out of somebody. On Ottawa, at least. Toronto, that's a much more just slow team, so you can take pity on them physically at least a little bit. So Yeah, there's a CC shot held by Dobes that sends us to commercial. Plenty of up and down in terms of the speed of the game. Lots of shots, then slow the game down. Getting a lot of looks, slow the game down for a few minutes, so a very up and down game, which I'm fine with because that gives me time to take my notes. There's a Kopitar shot. Dobes dives to hold it. Edmondson almost ends up running him over as a result, but thankfully Edmondson, quick reflexes, gets out of the way just in time. Dano just goes over and gives him a little, just a small little shove, just almost run the goalie. Don't do that. Doesn't go full aggressive on him because, well, he didn't. So, props to Dano for that. At least that was pretty funny. And then the Kings score. Firstly, Matheson's on the ice for all 3 goals against. Mike Matheson doesn't get punished for his mistakes, but Arber Xhekaj does. Arber Xhekaj is essentially still a baby in the NHL. Mike Matheson is a veteran, and Marty will not punish him for his mistakes. He will not give him less ice time. Defensively, at least. And I hate that. Yeah, Marty needs to grow a set and tell Matheson that he needs to be better, so. Yeah, but we all know that's not going to happen. Matheson's probably going to cost us 8 goals in the playoffs, if we even make it, but yeah, we'll get there when we get there. Laferriere makes it a 3-2 game. Suzuki ends up seeing him, but just can't get the stick there in time. Matheson's tying up a completely different guy, because of course he would be. Yeah, that's at 6:44. Laferriere scores from Clark and Moore. So Brand Clark with a 2-assist night. He had a decent night on the stat sheet at least, so shout out to Brand Clark. The Kings do lead it 3-2. Bolduc looks for a man. Bolduc looks for a man. He ends up going to the line. The one time Matheson should be there, he's not. It ends up coming out. The Kings, at this point, had completely cut off the top line. Keep that in mind. Hudson has a look as he cycles, but he's not able to find it into the net. Habs were being outshot 7-3 at the half. This is pretty bad. There's a Dobson shot blocked. The guys were really looking for Caulfield whenever that top line was out there. They know it's Saturday night. They know Cole usually shows up. Would he? We'll find out. So yeah. Dobson does have another shot stopped as he was looking for a rebound with Cole right in front. Newhook ends up turning a puck over at the goal line. Lawton does get stopped by Dobes in the slot. Doc bats a puck out of the air with his glove, almost over the glass. Thankfully not. The Kings end up pressuring. Doughty has a shot saved. There is a press. Hudson tries to center. It goes behind the net. He looks for a wrap as Kemper doesn't know where the puck is either, and everybody begins whacking at it. Everybody gets into the crease trying to whack at it to put it home or to keep it out. Eventually it is determined, no goal. So many bodies in front. Somehow none of them in the actual net. You get a pretty okay look at the goal line. And would have been able to tell probably if the puck had gone in at all. But, Laferriere ends up shoving Galley as well. That was kind of fun. But, everybody eventually and very safely, or very carefully, I should say, disperses from the net. There was about 18 bodies, it looked like, in the crease. That's always entertaining to see. The Canadiens get a power play with 6 minutes left. Hell yeah. Kings end up clearing right away. That's about with 7 minutes left, I should say. We score 30 seconds in with just about 5.5 left in the game. Juraj Slafkovsky finds space in the right circle, gets the one-timer off, and it's in the net. A 3-3 tie game. Slafkovsky with a beauty. That is the Olympic Slaf we've been waiting for. He gets his 23rd goal of the year. He scores from Hudson and Suzuki, both men with their 53rd assists on the year. So both of them are going to be looking for the playmaking title for the Canadiens. That's going to be fun to see down the stretch. It's a tie game. Habs are very happy to just get the 1 point, and you got to imagine they're probably just going to look to kill time tonight. Kings end up icing a puck with 5:02. And Habs cycle it. They score. On an attempted breakout, Moore gets stripped by Caulfield. Finds it up for Slafkovsky. Just goes across to Suzuki. And on a one-timer, the captain scores his 21st goal of the season. He gives the Canadiens the lead just 51 seconds later. 49 seconds later. Suzuki, the captain clutch, if you will. His 21st of the year, he scores from Slafkovsky and Caulfield. So Caulfield did show up on a Saturday night, just maybe not where you would have expected him to show up. A secondary assist, the reason that goal even happens in the first place. Habs all of a sudden have the lead. They're going to have the pressure on LA. Kings are suddenly behind for the first time since the second period. So they did respond pretty well last time. We'll see if they can do it this time. Habs also looking for their first win since, 2019 in Los Angeles. So we'll see if we can get that. The Kings do press. Andy ends up losing his stick. There's a good block by Josh Anderson as well, regardless. Kings press. There's another save by Dobes with no screen. He's able to see it. Slaf has a good steal, but the shot is stick checked away, unfortunately. Slaf has another steal. There's a near rush. He goes backhand, but Kemper makes the save. Kemper had started looking at the bench at 2 minutes, but at 1:30 he starts slowly creeping out. With 1:25 he actually does. Dobes with a pair of big saves in the final minute. There's a shot wide. Deneau clears. It's an icing with 8.4 left. Because the Kings had used their timeout earlier, of course, they don't get one here. The Kings do win the draw. There's a shot that hits a man. It ends up just wide. Trying to center it for some type of bounce. Hope for some good luck. But they can't get it. And the Canadiens get the win. 4-3 in regulation. The final shots 39-23 for the Montreal Canadiens. I should say, by the way, on that power play, because I didn't mention what the penalty was, it was Trevor Moore who got called for a slash on Dobson. So Kings fans probably not happy with Trevor Moore right now. So, aside from that, the Canadiens, in a game where, after the first period at least, they did not deserve to be in, they end up pulling a victory out of their ass. I was contemplating on what the title of this episode was going to be. However, obviously you can tell what I went with. I was considering something like The Magic of Friendship, or just Luck Doesn't Run Out, But yeah, you can tell I ended up going with what I did. The top line, fit for a king. Suzuki with a 3-point game. Juraj Slafkovsky with a 3-point game. Caulfield with just the 1 assist, surprisingly. Ends up being the weak point of the top line tonight. However, with how much they were feeding him, it's clear that the Kings knew they had to focus a little more on Caulfield. So it's not even that he was bad tonight. They just covered him relatively well for the most part. So, yeah. And Lane Hutson as well. Lane Hutson with another assist. He keeps showing that he's worthy of a Norris trophy. Whether he gets it this year or next season, he's going to get a Norris trophy, at least one in his career, you have to think. So, yeah, that does it for the actual game. We're going to do the Canadian stats and then get on out of here. Of course, who else would it be? Nick Suzuki leads the Canadiens with 21 goals. 21 goals, 53 assists, 74 points. He is now on a 4-game point streak, by the way. He has, if I can get it correctly, there we go, 3 goals and 6 assists in that span. Shout out Nick Suzuki, the captain, playing pretty damn good hockey recently. That's always exciting. Up next is, of course, Cole Caulfield. He has 37 goals, 27 assists for 64 points. He now has 5 goals and 2 assists, actually, in his last 5 games. So he's still goal per game in his last 5. He adds another assist, though. Lane Hudson has 11 goals and 53 assists for also 64 points, along with 5 points in 3 games in the month of March. That's awesome. Juraj Slafkovsky with 23 goals, 29 assists for 52 points. He has 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in his last 3 games. That is always awesome to see. Ivan Demidov, 13 goals, 35 assists, and 48 points. Noah Dobson, 12 goals, 30 assists for 42 points. Oliver Kapanen still stuck on 19 goals, 13 assists for 32 points. Mike Matheson with 6 goals, 26 assists, and 32 points. Again, a -3 tonight and a -4 in his last 2 games combined. Zach Bolduc with 10 goals, 16 assists for 26 points. He is on a 23-game goalless drought. However, 4 assists in his last 5 games. He's playmaking a little bit. He's getting those points up at the very least. Josh Anderson with 12 goals, 8 assists, 20 points, and a 5-game pointless drought. Alexander Carrier with 7 goals, 13 assists for 20 points. Brendan Gallagher, 6 goals, 14 assists, and 20 points. So the 3 scapegoats on the Canadiens, that the fans point to at least, all have 20 points. That's kind of fun. Alexander Texier, 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points. Jake Evans with 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points. Again, he's on a 4-game point streak. Alex Newhook with 8 goals and 8 assists for 16 points. Kirby Dach, 8 goals and 6 assists for 14 points. Phil Deneau, since his return to the Canadiens, he has 4 goals and 6 assists for 10 points. Jaden Struble with 9 assists. Sammy Blaine, his time at the NHL, had 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points this year. Joe Veleno with 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. Again, he was a healthy scratch, so still just a 10-game pointless drought. Caden Gooley with a goal and 4 assists for 5 points. Arbor Jacki with a goal and an assist for 2 points. And a now 25-game pointless drought. Insane. Owen Beck, in his time at the NHL, had a goal and was on a 7-game pointless drought before he got sent back to Laval. Patrick Laine, who was unfortunately still hurt. Florian Jacki and Jared Davidson, all with an assist so far this season. We shall see if any of them end up playing another game with the Canadiens this year, or in Laine's case, just in general with the Canadiens. Of course, Arbor Jacki also leads the way in terms of fights. He has 7 on the year. Josh Anderson and Jaden Struble each have 2 fights. Kirby Dach, Joe Veleno, Caden Gooley, and Florian Jacki each with a fight this year as well. Jakub Dobes, he leads the Canadiens with a 26-4 record, a 3.03 goals against average, and a 890 save percentage. Samuel Montembeault with a 10-8-4 record, a 3.43 goals against average, and an 872 save percentage. And Jacob Fowler, in his time at the NHL, had a 4-4-2 record, a 2.62 goals against average, and a 902 save percentage. A lump-alone shutout for the Montreal Canadiens this year. So yeah, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the follow button if you're on Spotify, Amazon, wherever else you might be listening to the podcast on. Yeah, don't forget to share as well. Please share the podcast with anybody who you think might enjoy listening, such as a fellow Montreal Canadiens fan, a hockey fan who's maybe looking for a Montreal Canadiens podcast, or someone who you think just might enjoy listening to some fat kid from Quebec talk about the Montreal Canadiens for half an hour after every game. That is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. And always remember, no matter how good we were like last year, how pretty good we are like this year, and how great we'll be in the future, go Habs go, Allez Montreal, and say it with me everybody, C'est la boo!